What's up, everybody? We got a new sponsor to the Random Rounds with Rob podcast. And if you're a professional wrestling fan, particularly AEW and the like, you know this brand by name. And the product that I'm talking about is Blue Chew. Yeah, I know you're going to look at me with the side eye and everything. You're talking about, really, B-Rob? This is what we're doing? This is what we're peddling on the show. And I know it's a weird topic and everything, and it's subject to talk about, a little bit taboo and everything, because no man want to admit that he has a problem and whatnot. But Blue Chew is here to help you solve said problem. I know you heard of the other names, Viagra, Cialis, and everything. This has the same FDA approved ingredients as those two that I just mentioned, and it works up to 2 times faster because it's in chewable form. It's made right here in the US of A, and it ships directly to your front door. You ain't got to go to the pharmacy, you ain't got to see no doctor, nothing. You ain't got to deal with none of that awkward stuff. Once again, a lot of us don't want to admit that we have a problem. But if you want to take advantage of this offer and this partnership with Blue Chew, you need to go to bluechew.com. That's BLUE chew.com and use the promo code RANDOM. And that first shipment is free. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping.
Here we go. You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob.
Yay!
Yay! Boom, boom, yeah! Boom, boom. Look at it. Boom, boom. Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Realms with Rob podcast. Before I thank you, the listener, and you, the new listener who may be tuning in to this edition of the show, I must, send out a very special happy birthday to the brothers and sisters in the Marine Corps. Today, as we record, is November 10th, 2019. It is the 244th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. So hopefully right now you're drinking big, responsibly and safely. But, I know how Marines are. So please have your battle buddy close by, and please have your battle buddies close by, because, if I can't stress enough just to be safe this weekend. And it's not a coincidence that the Marine Corps was founded in 1775, and not too long after that, in 1776, we gained our independence. So, people might draw conclusions but I think it's a coincidence that, the Marine Corps was formed and then the United States got their independence. So, we kick ass, we take names, we do all those things unto pertaining. But, once again, happy birthday to the men and women of the United States Marine Corps on this special day. Now, back to you, the listener. Thank you for listening to the show. And if you're a new listener, I'd like to thank you so much for giving my show a try. And if somebody referred you to me, I will kindly ask that you give that person that referred you to me a crisp high five if you're in their general vicinity. But if not, use your Cercel. Goddamn, I'm getting over a cold, so I'm going to be slurring some words. You're going to hear some extra slav and spit and shit. So get your social media app of choice, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or whatever have you, and send that person a DM or some kind of other message and be like, thank you for recommending this man to me. The Random Ramblers of Rob seems like it'll be a fit for my podcasting schedule and the things that I listen to, and send them that virtual crisp high five. That was a lot for me to say. But speaking of social media, you can follow this show on Twitter at 3R Show. You can follow this show on Instagram using the hashtag 3R Show or the hashtag Walmart Log. You can find it on Facebook. Just search 3R Show on the Random Rounds with Rob, and you can find a whole list of things unto pertaining on randomrobcast.com. Stick around. If you haven't heard it at the top of the hour, you're going to hear it at the end of the show as well. Got a new sponsor affiliated. It could be a good combo to pair with the current sponsor of Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. If you go to Etsy.com and use promo code 3R Show, you can get 10% off your order and put some delicious seasonings on your foods and whatnot. Thanksgiving coming up. It's coming pretty fast, and you're going to put some of that smoky sweetness on your turkey and whatnot, and all your other vegetables and your, I don't know about sweet potato pie. I don't know if you want to put seasoning on that, but it's a thought. You know, you could do that. But, whew, rambled all that out, got all the business out of the way, and now I have a guest joining me here on this edition of the show. Once again, a special edition of the show is the Marine Corps birthday, November 10th. And tomorrow's Veterans Day, which is not another coincidence because Marines are going to have a hardy time today, and they're going to need that federal holiday to recover and get sober and whatnot so they can go back to work Tuesday and whatnot the day after. So joining me is an actress, a writer, a fellow podcaster, and a very, very, very busy person, which I'm surprised after that long-winded intro of mine, she stuck around because I know she got 10, 20, 30, projects she got to do and shit. But joining me on this edition is one Miss Linzi Gray. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm out of breath because I said a lot of shit. Yeah, I got a slight headache from this cold, my nose stuffed up, and I just rattled off a lot of shit with no notes. So that's how I'm doing right now.
Well, it was phenomenal. I give you an A+, 2 thumbs up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm getting grades and everything. I wish I got those grades when I was in school for real. But thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me and whatnot. And we got a couple of things to talk about. I know you are an actress, and you are living the life that I kind of envisioned for myself a long time ago. It's kind of still floating around somewhere. If the opportunity presented itself to me, I would take it. But you being getting all these different roles and a lot of these different series and movies and whatnot. You got some upcoming stuff with Wonder Woman 84. You got some things going on with the new Walking Dead spinoff that's coming out. You have your first role was the Jackal with freaking Bruce Willis. Before I even go further, what was that like?
Well, I was like 12. Well, technically I was 11 when we filmed. And so it was my first time being on set. I was obsessed with, acting. I took drama in school. And so I begged my parents to let me do this. And they said, sure. And it was actually filmed right down the street from the house that I grew up in. So it was really neat. Yeah, Bruce Willis was super sweet. I didn't get a chance to really connect with him or anything. Plus I was 11. So I was like, ooh, pretty lights kind of thing. But yeah, I got the acting bug right then and there. I was like, I am hooked.
Now, you had your role in it or whatnot, but how much of the, the making of the film were you actually allowed to absorb, to just sit around and check it out and whatnot?
I was allowed to, being an extra, you get to see a lot of stuff. Being an extra is a lot of hurry up and wait. Because, they put you in position and then they've got to get the camera right. They got to get the principal actors on set, get them, right. It takes a lot of time to get one scene film. And so I got to see a lot. You're standing around, you're kind of just do. You get to see all of the crew members run past you several times. A lot of them, ran around like they're chickens, with the heads cut off. So it was fascinating to me. I got such an appreciation for every job on a set, not just principal actors, but the second team, the crew, background, and the crew, including PAs. Everybody's job on a set is super important, and none of them are easy.
Yeah, and I can see that you've done these interviews quite a few times, because that was going to be part of the question that you kind of answered just now, to where who are the unsung heroes, in these makings of the films and whatnot. You just kind of listed them all off.
Yeah, everybody has such an important, job. They think that the principal actors, have it easy because, they come in when everything's set up, they say their line and they walk off. And that's not the case. Because you're having to say the same line sometimes, over and over and over and over, and doing the same scene, for a whole day. Sometimes your days can be 12, 14, 16 hours. So there's like really everybody on set is an unsung hero. The director, even the PAs, like, you know, the production assistants. I mean, you know, they have to wrangle the background. They have to get everybody in place. And, you know, of course they're wearing headsets and they're screaming at each other, and it's complete chaos, but I thrive in chaos. So that is why I love being on set.
Who do you think has the hardest job behind the camera?
Honestly, I think everybody's job is equally difficult because everybody's job is different. I mean, you got the director his ass is pretty much on the line to make sure that, you know, everything, you know, goes together. You have the producers that are making sure that, you know, everything is flowing together. You have the PAs that are trying to get background, you know, put in place. You have the principal actors who are trying to, you know, go, okay, what's my cue for this? How am I feeling in this scene? I mean, I don't think there's one person that has an easier job on set than the other. I think everybody is equally difficult in their own right.
Okay, good to go. The Walking Dead spinoff that's coming out here, I think next year sometime.
Yes.
Just not even that. How do you feel about the Walking Dead series as a whole? I've been one of the ones to watch it from episode 1 all the way up until current. And, I didn't really get into too much of the fear of the Walking Dead and whatnot, but I appreciate that they're branching out and showing different elements of the universe, which one of the things that kind of drew me more into The Walking Dead in the beginning was the little web series they would do in between the episodes and whatnot. And I thought that was a cool element to the show. But
oh, absolutely.
But what do you think about The Walking Dead as a whole from beginning to now?
I love it. I'm one of those people, I watched it, you know, first episode, and I'm like, of course, I'm a horror movie fanatic. I love horror movies. And I'm like, I want to be on this. I want to be a part of this one day. How do I get on this? And, you know, they filmed the original down in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm like, I don't care. I will move down there. I will go to Walker School. I don't care. I just want to be part of it. Well, when I found out that they were filming the third spinoff here in Richmond, I was like, I've got to do it. So, you know, being on set, you network, you know, you learn people learn who you are and stuff like that. So I got a call one day from the casting director, and she's like, hey, and I'm like, hell yes, I want to be in this. She's like, I didn't even ask you. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to be in this. And she's like, okay. So it was just one of those things. It was really, really cool. And this one is very different from the others. You know, you have the original Walking Dead, you know, where it's following like this group of people. Of course, I think it kind of lost a lot of people when Andrew Lincoln left. But, you know, with the 3 films coming up with him, I think that's going to kind of tie everything together. You know, you have Fear of the Walking Dead, which shows the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. And then you have this one that I was on, which actually shows 10 years after the zombie apocalypse happened. And it focuses on the kids that were born into this world of zombies, and they don't know anything else. So I think it's a kind of a different aspect, and I think it's really cool. And I'm just so excited to see the first season of it.
Word. And I kind of feel, you know, that the Walking Dead universe has just grown to be this different thing other than anything we've seen in a long time. Because, you know, not only are they doing spinoffs, but there's even talks, I believe they talked about it, they're doing movies. That's why Rick isn't dead, and, you know, spoilers for anybody, but he isn't dead. And there was talk about him doing actual films that would tie into the seasons and the series and whatnot.
Yeah. And I'm super excited about those. It's supposed to be 3. That could change at any given moment, mm-hmm. because, well, we all know how Walking Dead likes to just kind of, you know, oh, you really love this character? Well, guess what?
Die.
They're going to die. So we all know how the Walking Dead plays. We all know how they like to they like to play on our emotions. So they say 3 movies. We're just going to leave it at that.
So, which death hit you the hardest so far?
I would say, and this is not a spoiler because if you haven't seen it, you've had plenty of time to see it. So at this point, it serves you right for not watching it. But I think, Carl, really.
Carl.
Yeah, Carl. I think Carl hit me the hardest because I was just like, wait a moment. Why? Like, no. I think that Carl hit me the hardest. And I think his death was not only very heroic for what exactly happens, but I also think it was needed to allow the rest of the group to go. However, I'm just going to let AMC know that if you kill off Daryl, you are going to have a mass hysteria of women like wanting to beat the executives up. I'm just saying. Just saying.
And, just the way my mind works or whatever. I mean, you've been watching this since the beginning, like me. Daryl and Carol, we've been, as my kid would say, we've been shipping this forever. And it looks like it might be coming back around or whatever. Because, spoilers, this is current shit I'm talking about now. So I'm giving you a little bit of leeway. It don't look like Ezekiel going to be sticking around too long.
I wish Daryl and Carol would just screw and get it over with.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Come on. Like, you can't, you lead the man on and then you don't, and then you do, and then you don't, it's the zombie apocalypse. What else are you going to do? Yeah.
Well, and to, you've been on the Delvin Cox show or whatever. So, he asks you the 5 questions and whatnot. So you already told him your answers about the zombie apocalypse. He asked me those same questions when I was on there. And one of my items of choice to bring with me was some plan B, because, I ain't trying to repopulate, too many of the people, in the zombie apocalypse. But that was that was on my mind because, what else do we have to do other than survive?
You got a great point. Look at what happened to Lori. She gave birth and she died. She had to die. So one of my items I have to say was deodorant, because I cannot imagine. I can't imagine actually how people smell. Mm-hmm. And that would and I'm very sensitive to scents and everything. And I'm just like, dude, I don't care if we're in a zombie apocalypse. I don't care if there's not a shower around. You got some BO going on. Here you go.
Yeah. So you would have died on the plane that I was on, that I was telling you about earlier, with them people with the breath.
Yes, I would have. See, and I have a hard time. I don't have a filter sometimes. And so it gets me in trouble. And I would be like, look, I've got some Tic Tacs and I've got some gum in my purse. Would you like a piece? Because you're breath kicking like Jackie Chan.
Now, even on the topic of breath and you being an actor or whatnot, so there's a lot of scenes to where you got to get in close and, share that dialogue or whatever. Has there ever been an instance between takes to where you had to pull somebody to the side and have that conversation?
Actually, I have been very fortunate to not have that conversation with somebody.
Whew. So what would that be like if you had to venture down that path?
I don't know. I'd probably, it would be in a heat of a moment kind of thing, but it'd probably be like, look, we got a kiss in the scene, or you have to be all up in my face, and I'm not trying to, have that funk on my face. So yeah, if you could, maybe chew some gum, take a Tic Tac, some mouthwash. I'm okay with whichever. Just, you're going to need to handle that. Mm-hmm.
I have heard, not from personal experience, but just rumor around the internet and everything, that Morgan Freeman notoriously has some bad breath.
I have not heard that. I have not worked with him, so I cannot testify to that. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough, thank goodness, that I have been fortunate enough to not have that situation come in. Yeah. So,
well, high fives on that. I'm a knock on wood and hope that you never be in that situation.
Thank you, because honestly, if it happened, I would have to yell, "Look, cut! His breath needs something done to it.
You can get one of the PAs in there with like a little spritz bottle with some mint. Just hit that up real quick. Oh man. So, we talk about The Walking Dead and everything, how it's branching out and just becoming its own thing and whatnot. Another series to where I guess it's kind of done now is Game of Thrones. I think the writer of the books and whatnot, the series was, overtaking him. It was the series moving faster than he could write the books. And then there was talking about doing prequels, which I don't think that's going down at the moment. But what are your thoughts on the Game of Thrones franchise?
Huge Game of Thrones fan. I absolutely loved it. I was mixed on the finale. I'm not going to lie. I was one of those people who was just like, I didn't see it coming, but at the same time, I kind of did.
Yeah.
I was one of those people that when Joffrey, got poisoned, I jumped up and I was like, whoa, yeah, die, motherfucker, die.
That was like one of the ones that I was waiting on. I mean, I was actively rooting for that shit to happen, and it is
right.
I know you should feel bad because it's a kid, but it's make believe, so I don't give a fuck.
Exactly. I was just like, oh my God, thank you, Lord. He's finally gone. And the guy who plays him is such a sweet person. Mm-hmm. So after I saw that scene and I actually met him at a Comic-Con, I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad that I cheered his death. Like, I'm so sorry I cheered you to die. And he goes, no, I totally get it. I was an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be self-aware when you're acting in roles like that or whatnot. But that was I think you touched on it in one of your interviews as well. Is like people, latch on to these characters and they kind of don't separate the character from the actual person and whatnot, and that can be problematic sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've had friends of mine that have done, they've been like a serial killer in a movie, and somebody they actually lose friends over it because people are like, I can't believe that, you can go to those depths. And he's like, I was playing a character. What are you talking about? So it's funny that it's not really funny, but it is funny because, you do get typecasted. You are good at playing a victim. You're good at playing the girl next door. You're good at playing a serial killer. It's, so people don't see you as anything else. When Tobin Bell played Jigsaw, from interviews I read, he had a lot of hate from, after he played that because people were so upset with him because he was Jigsaw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, what, do you think he was justified? I mean, the character.
I think that the character Jigsaw, I understand why he did it. It's kind of like, when you're young, you want to be Batman, you want to be Batman, you want to be Batman. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, the Joker makes more sense.
Yeah, I got you. I mean,
really, the Joker just makes more sense when you're older. So it's kind of like you do this kind of shift thing. So, I can understand why some people would say, oh my God, he's a horrible person. But I can understand why he felt he was justified in doing the actions that he did.
Okay. Now, as it goes with film and television and whatnot, if you can, kind of solidify your career from here on out for probably over the next 10 years, which avenue would you rather it be, in film or in television?
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing half and half.
Cheater.
Because they both have great pros and cons to them. I mean, with movies, you're gone for, even with TV shows, sometimes you're gone for months at a time. Mm-hmm. And TV shows, can last longer. They can also be, you can get canceled very quickly. Yeah. I would probably say the movies because I love the aspect of being able to go and work on a movie for 3 months and then be able to come home and have a little bit of downtime and then, maybe go back out and have something else, for 6 months and then come back. So I think I would say movies.
Okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough. What are you watching now as a reference to, maybe, help you hone in your craft and as being an actress and whatnot? I mean, is there any particular actors that you're studying or a certain genre of films or TV shows? Or?
I watch a little bit of everything. I've gone back and started watching Breaking Bad.
Oh, have you seen El Camino yet?
I have not. So
me
no
neither,
spoilers.
Me neither. I haven't seen it either. I mean, I've seen all of Breaking Bad, but I have not sat down and watched El Camino yet.
Well, it's funny because the writer of Breaking Bad, El Camino, all that, Vince Gilligan, he actually went to the same high school I went to. We didn't go at the same time, but he actually is from Chesterfield County in Virginia, where I'm from. So watching Breaking Bad, there's a lot of hits towards Virginia, and I get to chuckling because I'm just like, oh, I get that, I get that, I get that, I get that, all these references. So, but I do like watching that. I'm also a huge Friends fan. I think the way Jennifer Aniston went from doing comedy in front of a kind of a live audience, I mean, that's really hard to do. Mm-hmm. Being an actress itself is hard, obviously, because everything, you got 1,000 things going on around you and you're trying to do this scene, you're trying to get into the moment, but doing it in front of a live audience, I mean, there's no redos on that kind of stuff. Like if you miss your mark, then the joke's kind of just dead in the water. Yeah. So, and I love how she did that. And then she kind of transitioned into movies, and the movies that she's been in has kind of been all over the board. Yeah. And I think she's such a strong actress, and I absolutely adore her. I think she's my idol, and that is who I hope to be one day, is Jennifer Aniston. And I hope I look as good as, she does.
Yeah. So that's who you want.
When I'm her age.
Yeah. So that's who you want to be when your acting career grows up and whatnot.
Yeah. I think she's phenomenal. I mean, she's got the comedy aspect of things she could do. I mean, she was in, a horror movie, early in her career. I think she's done a lot of really cool things. And she's one of those people that has really not been typecasted. I mean, she's really broken out of the box. I mean, if you look at, Horrible Bosses, I mean, that is a completely different character than we've seen her in. I mean, she's a seductive, kind of rapey boss, but it's amazing. It's amazing to watch her do this. And, I enjoy watching a lot of different things because, I'm always looking at the background people. I'm always looking at the main actors. I'm always looking at, okay, when the scenes are put together, is there any continuity errors there? Yeah. And in Friends, there is.
Of course.
There's a few.
Now, as far as being an actor and everything, and I've heard you touch on this before, and I can speak to it in a small instance because I've done, bit parts and whatever. For me, it's hard to just be in the scene and, kind of convey emotion and whatnot. In case in point, I was in a scene to where I was sitting at a table. We were having a meeting. Our police chief was giving us a brief and everything, and somebody came in and told us, they were shutting our case down, yada, 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 just pretty much raining on our parade. And for me to convey that emotion that I was upset that they taken our case away from us after we worked so hard, it didn't really translate too much on there. I just looked like a dope on TV or whatever. And even though I didn't have any speaking lines or whatever, but my facials weren't there. So how important is that? On top of, knowing your lines and, kind of getting your point across, being an actress.
It is so, oh my God. It can be rough. It really can be rough. I recently filmed this movie, for a film festival, Project 21. And we did our film on human trafficking. And so my character, I play the main character, Zoe, and she's dating this guy who ultimately sells her to this madam and the madam's goons end up raping her right in front of this guy. Well, in the middle of the rape, he gets upset. He leaves, the hotel room. All in all, he ends up saving her at the end. But, trying to have these facial expressions, when this, right before the rape scene, and the rape scene's coming up, so you're just kind of like, you got it in the pit of your stomach, but you're trying to show, like, that you're clinging to this guy who, you still think loves you and everything. And you kind of have like these three big dudes coming at you, and they're looking at you like prey. So you have to kind of look a little scared, but you feel comfortable because this guy that you love is right there. There's a whole lot of emotion, and it's just like, okay, when I look at him, I need to look loving. And then when I look at them, I need to look scared. And so, Man,
looking at him loving, I'd be pissed. I was like, motherfucker, look what you did to me.
Well, see, at the time, I didn't know it. So I'm like looking at him all loving, like, oh, Xander, you're like the best. I don't know why you brought me to this, like, really sleazy, sketchy motel. But, all right, well, you want to party? Let's party. And then afterwards, the rape scene was the hardest. Yeah. That was absolutely the hardest, because I had one guy on top of me and one guy on the right side of me, one guy on the left side of me. And what they did was they showed the beginning part of it. They didn't actually get into anything because the camera flips to my point of view. So you actually don't see anything from me. But as I'm doing this and I'm trying to struggle, and they're like, and the director's like, all right, well, remember, they've drugged you, you got like a roofie or something. So I couldn't struggle too much, but I was trying to struggle a little bit. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's like, lights in this hotel room. There's like 15 people watching this scene. The AC is not on in the hotel. So by the time they yelled cut, my face was bright red. My neck and my chest were bright red. And you could just hear a pin drop. It was so quiet after he yelled cut. And so I popped up and I'm like, did you get it? Are we done? Like, I had to break the silence, and everybody's like, as soon as I started joking around, everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm totally fine. And I think I was nervous about it, but I think I was more nervous about it because I wanted to do the part justice, because I'm sure that there's people out there that are going to see this film and have had a traumatic experience. And I wanted them to know that, it's okay. I understand your suffering, and, you're a strong person, and we're going to get through this kind of thing.
And, rape is bad, but luckily in that whole make-believe scenario, you didn't find nobody upon you with no funky breath. So, I mean, kudos.
They did not have funky breath, but they definitely have hot breath. It wasn't funky. It was just hot. And so, but, it was just like, okay, I'm a little claustrophobic, but let's get this scene over with. And afterwards, everybody's like, I can't believe how well that went. I can't believe how real you looked. And I'm like, it's my job.
Yeah. What, did you expect something less? I mean,
right? Now, what are you trying to say?
Yeah. So now, you saying that you filmed this in a hotel or whatnot. So obviously there's permits and, permission to be had and whatnot. I'm just figuring as a guest, I mean, did they block off certain floors or rooms around this room or whatever? Because, I'm coming in as a guest to this hotel, and I got the room next door to y'all filming some shit like this. I'm like, what the fuck is going on over there?
Well, I actually joked about it when we were standing outside. I was like, somebody's going to call the cops and be like, yo, this bitch is getting raped next door. Y'all need to send somebody. Luckily, we didn't have to have the cops called. The owner of the hotel and the manager both knew, what was going on. So we were pretty safe. We didn't have the cops called. So, like I said, it was kind of a sketchy hotel anyways. So
yeah,
it's probably something they might be used to. I don't want to condone anything of that, but unfortunately that happens. And
I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, did they charge you rent by the hour?
Well, actually, we got the room donated to us for the project, but yeah, it was definitely one of those hotels that you probably rent rooms by the minute.
Oh yeah, I do rent rooms by the minute. All right, but anyway, on to other things. So you already said that horror is somewhat your favorite genre or whatnot.
Absolutely.
So what is your top? Do we go top 3 or top 5? What's your top 3 or top 5? Which you get? We
can go top 5.
Okay, what's your top 5 scary movies?
All right. My first one is, it's not scary. It's 80s slasher, is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Word. So is it so much a particular film, or is it just the character itself?
It's Freddy himself. Freddy is hilarious. I mean, if you think about it, in the third one, when he says, "Welcome to primetime, bitch," and he shoves the girl's head into the TV set and kills her. Who does that? Who says these sort of things right before they kill somebody? So it had both that kind of humor and what's going to happen next kind of thing. I mean, it was huge for its time. Now you look back at it and, of course the graphics aren't as great now, but we've come a long way. Yeah. But I think Robert Englund is phenomenal. I would love to work with him one day. He was a great Freddy Krueger. He's been a great everything. He was a great Mayor Buckman in 2001 Maniacs, and that would be my second choice.
That was a weird movie as well. They put the spike up his butt and it came out his mouth. That was weird. And yeah, it was just a throwed ass movie. But damn, that kind of threw me off. I forgot what I was about to ask. So all right, yeah, that's number 1. What's the number 2?
So number 2 would be the 2001 Maniacs.
Okay, so number 3.
Number 3, let's see. I'm gonna go with Michael Myers, Halloween.
Okay.
And it has to be John Carpenter's Michael Myers.
Okay.
And
original.
I'm not talking about Rob Zombie. I'm talking about the John Carpenter, and even the ones that Danny McBride has done, the one that they just finished filming, and then the one, that came out a year or so ago. Mm-hmm. Michael Myers is just downright creepy. He doesn't say anything. He's walking around wearing a jumpsuit, this, William Shatner mask.
Yeah.
He's just creepy, and he stalks people, and it's just, I don't know if I would run the other way, definitely.
Well, my wife and fellow Virginian is adores the Halloween franchise. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting here and I'm looking up at both franchises that you just mentioned, Nightmare on Elm Street and all the Halloween movies up here, and they're just sitting there just like, hey, we here, we like them too. And I was prepping for this interview and whatnot, and she heard that you were from Richmond, and she's like, oh, actually she know where Danville is.
Yes, I know where Danville is.
Exactly. So that's what she said. That's what you would say. So there you are. So what we got for number 4?
All right, number 4. I'm going to go with probably a man who has some stank-ass breath. We're going to go with Jason Voorhees.
You're hitting the classics up right now, which, once again, I look up to my left, and the, Friday the 13th franchise box set is sitting right there, right next to the other 2.
I actually have a I Love New York with the Jason coming through it, which was banned when the movie, came out, because the New York Tourist was like, no, we're not having you take our, our I Love
symbol.
Yeah.
Besmirch it.
Exactly. So I actually have that poster, and it's such a rare poster, but I have it framed, and it is one of my most prized possessions. So I would either have to say that one with, when Kane Hodder played Jason, or in 6 when CJ Graham played Jason. I actually met CJ Graham. Sure. And let me tell you, he's a tall boy. And he was super nice. But he was a little overwhelming. Like, I actually got to talk to him before he actually got into his Jason costume.
Is that him in your profile for Skype?
Yes, it is. That is him. And let me tell you, my face looks like that because that was a real machete.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, like, he remembered who I was. So, he's like stroking my hair. And all of a sudden he grabs the back of my hair and I'm like, all right, it's go time. And he puts the machete to my throat. And I was like, oh, shit, that is a real machete. And so when I'm like this, like, oh, God, don't move. They took the picture and I'm like, I hate all y'all.
I mean, at least was it the blunt side? I can tell because the picture is small, so I can't really tell.
Yes, he actually didn't. Thank God he didn't put the blade to me. But yeah, it was the blunt side. But still, when you feel that cold metal against your neck, it's like, oh God.
All right. So this is where we hit the drum roll. What's number 5?
Number 5 would be Night of the Demons.
Refresh my memory.
Okay, so Night of the Demons has to do with Hall House, old funeral home that's supposedly haunted, that has like a little underground creek around the barrier of it, so the demons can't cross over. But it has to do with Angela, and she goes there to have like a Halloween party, and as normal with horror movies, you have sex, you die.
Exactly, especially in the Friday the 13th movies.
Exactly.
I'm going to have to revisit that because I think I may have seen it, but I'm not 100% sure.
There's 3 of them. The second one's probably my favorite. And then there's a remake with Edward Furlong, who is also in the Terminator movies.
Oh, word.
Well, 2 Terminator movies.
Mm-hmm. And you say Night of the Demons or whatever, and I automatically flash to one of my all-time favorites, which is Demon Knight, the Tales from the Crypt movie.
Yes. If I could pick a 6th one, that would be my 6th one.
Well, you could pick a 6th one. Go ahead.
Well, then we're going to go with Demon Knight.
And now let me tell you something about that film. I mean, me and my wife thoroughly enjoyed it or whatever. I have it here on my shelf up there. And Billy Zane, one of the
oh Lord,
one of the first. This is one of the first films that I actually recognize who he was, and I know who he is. I mean, I've probably seen him in things before this, but this is the film that was like, hey, this is Billy Zane.
Yes.
So we had Comic Palooza here in Houston, Texas. Is one of the Southern's most biggest comic book conventions ever. And he was on slate to be there. And I was losing my shit. So I was tagging him in posts when I was doing the marketing for Comic Palooza because I was a part of it for the podcast portion. And every time I would do a plug for it, a post for it, I would tag Billy Zane. I would mention Billy Zane or whatever. And then when the day was coming down to it, he canceled. And I was like, it was my fault. I overdid it. I was sad about it and shit. And because I wanted to meet Billy Zane and I wanted to talk about Demon Knight and everything.
No, I understand. When I went to GalaxyCon back in June, I believe it was, here in Richmond, Linda Blair was going to be there. So I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm like totally like geeking out and everything. So I was posting stuff on Twitter, and I was like tagging her in it. And then I get there and they're like, oh yeah, she canceled. And I'm like, this is all my fault. I did this. So I get it. I feel your pain.
Yeah. And what kind of made me mad about it is like, not only was he not there, but he was there in the city because he had other engagements that same weekend. I was like, you son of a bitch. You took this from me. You took it from me. But, and speaking of conventions and, Comic Cons and all those things or whatever, it's something very new to me. I just finished up my, I think, 5th one ever in my whole life, which this all just started for me last year, 2018. And, how important do you think these conventions and cons and fan meet and greets are to, what it is that you do, your profession, acting and movies and television shows and whatnot?
Oh, I think they're super important because, I mean, honestly, without the fans, you're just a normal person who's doing a normal job. I mean, it's the fans that make you who you are, really, that make you a household name, because, you have like, oh my God, it's Johnny Depp. Oh my God, it's Brad Pitt. I think these cons are super important because it allows the fans to feel like they are meeting their heroes from like Supernatural or Smallville or Vampire Diaries or anything like that. I think it brings, the fans together as a whole, but I also think that it makes the fans feel like they're part of the show.
Mm-hmm. Where we just had one here not too long ago. The Fandemic tour came through here to Houston, Texas, and they had Sebastian Stan and John. I can never say it. The Punisher, the new guy, John.
Okay, yeah,
they had them there or whatever, and it was just a big turnout just for those two. And I kind of felt bad because they had your boy from freaking This Is Us. Oh, I forget his name too. He was in freaking Daddy's Boy or whatever. What is his damn name? He plays Jack. Freaking Milo whatever the fuck his name is.
Okay, yeah. Why is he my boy?
Because he acts and you're an actress. So, I mean, I don't do that. So that
so he's automatically my boy. Okay.
Exactly. That's how. So, he was there next to them because those two were together, and it was just like a mob of people trying to get to those two or whatever. He was over there just like crickets and shit. And I was like, man, that sucks,
Yeah.
Because I like the guy or whatever. And, he's done some notable things and whatnot. It's just like, I mean, you like who you like, I guess, but still, it was just like everybody was over here and nobody was over there. And I just personally felt bad. Because I was like, I always, when I see something like that in real life, I put myself in that scenario as well. I was like, what if that was me? What the fuck would I do in that situation? Would I just go over there next to him and just stand there and fuck around and try to sway some people over to my side or whatever? I don't know.
I probably would. I'd be like, hey, you guys need to come talk to him. He's pretty amazing. Yeah, don't worry about them. They're not cool. Worry about him. He's badass.
Yeah. They had the Weasley twins there from the Harry Potter.
Oh, Lord.
They had your boy, there he's your boy too. From Stranger Things. He just died. Not I keep forgetting names.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Motherfucker from what is that shit? I'm blanking. My brain. It's the cold, I swear. What is it? You're not helping. You're being quiet.
I'm sorry. I'm like blanking on his name too. I'm like
fucking. Now I got to pull up IMDb. I try to remember shit and I got a bad memory, so I'm failing myself twice. Freaking Sean Astin, Bob.
Okay. Yeah.
He was there too, and he had like a big crowd. They had the guy to do the voice from the fucking Mario video game, which was weird to see like him and the Mario voice and sounds come out of his mouth. That was kind of creepy for me.
Yeah, that would be a little creepy. I mean, it's like when you think about Mario, you're like, the Mario I grew up on, I don't remember Mario really talking, so. Yeah.
All I remember was like, whoop, here we go. It's me, Mario. And
it's me, Mario.
And he was doing all that, and I was just like, this is weird. And then at the same place, because I am a big fan of professional wrestling, there was Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. They were at the time, the current Universal Champion and Seth Rollins and the current Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. They were there, and I got some semi-viral success off of that because I was a part of I was there for the panel that they did, and Seth said some controversial things toward another wrestling promotion, and I had the video, and I was the one that uploaded it to the internet, and it got shared all these other places, and I got a little bit of credit for that, so I was like, yay, I did a thing.
Oh, so you're the one who starts shit. Okay.
No. No, it wasn't me. I swear. Well, if it was in a good context, yes, it was me. But all the bad parts, no, it wasn't me. So, Yeah. Now, to backtrack all the way over to your top 5 or whatever, we already live in an age and time to where we've seen Freddy versus Jason. And before I even go further, what do you think about that movie?
I thought it was badass, personally. Yeah. I think they did it justice. I mean, it was something that everybody had been waiting for since Jason went to hell. And you see the Freddy claw come up. If you haven't seen it, you had long enough to see it. No spoilers. So you see the Freddy claw come up from the ground and grab Jason's mask and pull it down. So
Jason goes to hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was waiting for the Freddy versus Jason. Everybody was waiting for it. So when it finally dropped, I thought it was such a great concept, and I'm glad that they kind of waited as long as they did to put it out. But I thought it was a great concept. I mean, I'd like to see Freddy versus Jason versus like Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think at one point in time they were supposed to even throw Ash in there from The Evil Dead.
Yes, they were. Yes. I don't know whatever happened to that, but they were.
And I would still be down for that. But out of the 5 that you picked there, we got Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers and whatnot. We already seen Freddy and Jason. Out of Jason and Michael Myers, they had an arm wrestling contest. Who do you think would win? I mean, that's a tough one because, I mean, we've seen Jason punch through and rip off and do all kind of manner of, feats of strength. But Michael Myers has cars and all kind of other manner of things dropped on him. He fall off buildings. He gets shot multiple times and he just don't want to die. So, I mean.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing that CJ Graham told me at GalaxyCon. Mm-hmm. Real men use machetes.
Word. Yeah, and a machete is bigger than the kitchen knife that is iconically linked to Michael Myers. So
exactly, and I think that Jason has more like awesome kills. I mean, when he zips up the sleeping bag and he beats the yes. the person inside against the tree, stuff like that. I think that Jason is a little bit more creative. Like I said, CJ Graham told me, real men use machetes. Babies use Outback steak knives. Okay, so I mean, we got your answer without you giving the answer. So there we are. Exactly.
But yeah, in the horror genre, I mean, what do you think about Hellraiser versus Freddy? I mean, who would come out victor in that fight there?
That one is tough because they're both, I mean, they're both immortal, so and Hellraiser doesn't sleep, so true. Freddy's kind of at a disadvantage because Freddy is more powerful in his dream world than he is in the real world, so I would have to give that to Hellraiser.
Yeah. All right. And and the fun fact, I think I mentioned it on this show before, but like I was a scaredy cat, as a youngster and everything. And I didn't really get into the horror movies. I didn't like them. I avoided them. I did other kid shit. Like I played video games and went outside and stuff. But the first horror movie that I watched from end to end, without covering my eyes and everything was Freddy's Dead. That was my first horror movie.
Yes.
And I think out of the whole set, I mean, I think that's my favorite. Not only because of that fact, that was the first one that I watched end to end, horror movie wise, but I think out of the whole, set of movies, that's I think the best one for me.
I think mine would probably be Dream Warriors, the third one.
Yeah.
Because that is where you start seeing Freddy's like comedic side start coming out, and he stops being like this, this like serial killer who just has knives for fingers and all this, and he starts becoming like he's got personality. And I'm sorry, but if I'm gonna die in that sort of fashion, some personality to go along with it.
Yeah. If I'm going to die, I want to go out with some pizzazz, some flair or something.
Exactly. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I want. I want my killer to have a little bit of, you know, comic relief.
Mm-hmm. Word. Now, in your own opinion, what is the worst horror film that you've ever seen in your life?
Oh, Human Centipede.
Now I think I watched that on accident. I don't know.
I unfortunately did not watch it on accident. It was the worst. It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and then I punish myself too because I'm somewhat of a completionist. So if I start watching something, I can't stop. I gotta finish it out. So we watched the first one, and then they came out with the second one. So I had to watch that, and then I didn't make it all the way through the third one. This was the only one that I didn't watch all the way through because I think we were watching it, and I think God may have saved me because the power went out. And, you know, we couldn't watch it anymore. And I just never watched the rest of it after that.
Yeah, I got through the first one and I was just like, nope, no more. I'm done. That was, blah.
Yeah, I mean, and the second and the third one, just like, if you thought the first one was bad, the second and the third one they really take it to another level and everything. I mean, there's like, even in the third one, I didn't watch it all the way, but the parts I seen, it's just like testicles removed from sacks and everything. And it's just, it's madness. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's just horrible. I don't know, but people like shit like that. But
yes, they do.
You know, to each his own. To each his own.
Exactly.
I mean, we talked about movies for quite a bit of time or whatever. And you are a fellow podcaster just like me. So what brought you into the realm of podcasting?
Well, as an actress or an actor, you're always looking for things to kind of put you outside the box. And I know a lot of actors and actresses kind of have their own podcasts now. Podcasting's becoming a big thing. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to. So my first podcast is called Blood and Black Lace, and it's a true scary story podcast. And I grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries with my mom, and I thought Robert Stack was like super creepy. And I'm like, I want that job one day. I want to be creepy like him. So when the idea was first brought to me about like, how would you like to do a podcast? And I'm like, I would love to do a podcast, but I want to do a podcast on my terms. I want to do this kind of podcast. And so there was born Blood and Black Lace.
Yeah.
So I had some friends that were in it, and, you know, they kept telling me, you should do it. You should do it. You should do it. You know, it kind of keeps your voice strong because, you know, you're putting yourself out there. People hear you. People are like, who the hell is this girl? Mm-hmm. And so more people look into you, and, you know, acting roles can come from it and stuff like the voiceovers can come from it, stuff like that. And so then I actually have a new podcast coming out. Actually, as soon as I'm done with this interview, I'm actually going to record our first episode.
Word.
Yeah.
So what is that going to entail?
It's called the Rosenbaum and Gray Hour, and my co-host Lori and I we're gonna dive into paranormal experiences. We're gonna dive into mental health, general health, you know, family and friends issues. Just, it's gonna be kind of like a real talk for real shit.
Word. I like that. Is that your tagline?
That should be our tagline.
There you go. You're welcome. Real talk about real shit. That could be a t-shirt. Put it on a bumper
Hell
sticker.
Yeah.
See, man, you just 3%. That's all I want.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody else, already trying to extort you for some stuff. That motherfucker Delvin Cox. So,
don't get me started on him.
Oh yeah, let's get started on that motherfucker. What you got some qualms? You got some issues with him? Because I take every opportunity to bash that bastard.
I just want to fight him. I don't know why. I just want to fight him.
He has a punchable. I
tell him that all the time. I'm like, I want to fight you.
He has a punchable face. I understand.
I love him to death. I love Delvin to death, but I want to fight him.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think I could win.
Oh, see, I mean, that's saying a lot. Yeah.
Actually, no, I know I could win.
Bam, Delvin. If it goes down, I would like to officiate this fight. I would heavily weigh the odds in your favor. So, I mean, you ain't got nothing to worry about there. I'll Jimmy rig the scorecards and whatnot. But yeah, Delvin is a good guy. And anytime I can say, fuck you, Delvin, I do.
He's such a sweet person. I love him to death. But I'm still going to punch him.
Yes. Getting right in the kidneys. So with the podcasting and everything or whatever, what were some of your early issues, in the beginning of starting? Because how many episodes are you in with the Blood and Lace?
Well, actually, before I came on this interview, I was recording episode 17.
Word. So you almost legal.
Almost legal. Yeah.
Word.
Depends on what state you live in or what country you live in, I guess.
True. This is true. So, what are some of the difficulties and the hitches that you ran into so far? Just newly getting into podcasting.
Just like audio. What's the best mic? Like editing. Making sure you get it out on time, adding music, cause, the first episode of Blood and Black Lace was so rough because, it was with, my old co-host and we were trying to get used to each other and trying to find a flow and yeah, it was so rough. But, once we got used to each other, we had a pretty good flow and she's actually, stepped aside from the show and she's going to go off and do her own thing, and create another podcast about conspiracy theories. And I wish her nothing but the best. Mm-hmm. She knows she's always welcome back to Blood and Black Lace if, she wants to, I guess, spot, talk some shit, I would love it. But I think that's what mainly was the issue was, finding your flow, mm-hmm. finding your niche audience and how do you want to stand out from the crowd? And I think the reason why we stood out from the crowd with Blood and Black Lace is because here's two females who are talking about scary shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look on TV and you see ghost hunters. Yeah, they have a couple females on their team, but it's mostly men. Mm-hmm. You look at Ghost Brothers, men. You look at Ghost Adventures, men. So I think that's how we kind of got our place, solidified was that we were two females talking about scary shit.
Mm-hmm. Word. So how important do you think it is to have a niche? Because, me personally speaking, whatever, this is the Random Rounds with Rob. We talk about any and everything and I talk to any and everybody. So is my niche being random? So I don't know.
I think your niche is whatever you want it to be. It's whatever you are week to week. I think there's some podcasts out there that have a niche, like Blood and Black Lace has a niche. It's for anybody who likes real, ghost stories and stuff like that. They're like, ooh, I heard about this place on Blood and Black Lace. I want to go visit it. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. I think with podcasts such as the new podcast I'm going to be on and yours, I think the niche changes mm-hmm. based on the week and what you're talking about. Okay. So I think that's kind of cool in of itself is the fact that the niche is always changing because people never know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I find as being a professional wrestling fan is that wrestling is not like, I don't know. It's weird. It's just like a lot of people know about it, but a lot of people, I don't know. I can't really explain it because like, all right, you ask my father or whatever. You've seen me from as a baby all the way up until now. He has always known me to watch wrestling, but he never watched wrestling, but he knew what it was, so there's somebody that's, cognizant of professional wrestling, but doesn't watch it. And then you have me, who is a person that, watches it every chance that I can get, different promotions, different brands and everything. So I believe there's more people who don't watch it, but know of it. And then there's everybody that, just lives it. And wrestling is one of those things as a niche that's just, I don't know, it's weird. I said all that shit just to say it's weird because I post a whole bunch of shit, but anytime I post something that's wrestling related, I get the biggest responses and biggest interactions just from professional wrestling. So
I actually used to watch wrestling back in the late 90s, like 99, back when, Triple H and all of them were wrestling. The Rock was still on, Kane was dating Tori, and then Tori went over to D-Generation X and stuff like that. So yeah, I know a little bit about wrestling.
Word. Okay. So that's when you used to watch. What made you stop?
It was hard to keep up with the storylines.
Okay. That's understandable.
I really liked, and I really liked when Stephanie McMahon was dating Test. I'm sorry, I did. I thought Test was like super hot. And then she went off and, she quote unquote got drugged and forced to marry Triple H. And then, that whole thing. I think it was interesting, but I think the storylines, I think they kind of like lost something as, time went on. I think it was really hard to really, keep the storylines fresh.
Yeah. And then I think it's, a lot of the top people running the thing, times have changed and a lot of them haven't. So, just the change in society, and they still got the old mindset. So it kind of convolutes the stories that they're trying to tell currently because they always thinking about old shit, So yeah, that could be an issue, but I've been watching through the lows and the highs, and it's just like a part of what I do. If you could, now, you being an actress or what is, can I just say actor? Because it encompasses.
That's fine. You can say actor.
Because I feel like if you say actor, that could be either or, But so I'm like, for you, if the role ever arose to where you could be, portray a professional wrestler on screen, would you do it?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I love the challenging roles, so hell yeah, I would do it.
What would be your wrestling name?
Probably Short Stack.
That.
So I'm like 5'2", so I'm short. So
you're just about as tall as Stallone anyway. So
exactly. I'm just gonna run up under somebody's legs and nut check them. That's how I'm gonna win. Hey, I fight dirty. I don't care.
Just long as the ref doesn't see you, because if the ref sees you, you're not going to win too much, unless it's a no DQ match.
And that's bullshit, because they can use chairs, they can use tables, they can use, 2x4s, they can use all this shit, but you can't nut check somebody. I'm calling bullshit on that.
Yeah. But, how much do you think podcasts will be ingrained in the culture 10 years from now?
Oh, I think it's going to kind of take over. I think more people are moving away from radio per se, like AM, FM radio, and moving to, Amazon Music, moving to iTunes, moving to podcasting. So I think it's just going to it's going to get more and more involved. And, you have people that are moving from podcasting over to like the video side of things. And, some podcasts are getting their podcast turned into TV series. Yeah. I think it is just going to take over a generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's weird because we say in the next 10 years, and podcasting has been around for a little bit over 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And I know today in 2019, November 10th, as we record this, there are still people here right now that do not know what podcasts are. And that just blows my freaking mind.
I mean, my mom's one of them. Like whenever I tell her, that I'm going to be on a podcast, she's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Never mind."
And it's not even like, I mean, yeah, I can understand the older generation or whatever, if they're not, too up to date on their technology. I can understand that, but I'm talking about like people my age, our age, that still don't fucking know what it is. And then when you say, I host a show or whatever, and they're thinking like, they automatically think like how you were saying that, traditional radio or whatever, which I can't even tell you, the last time I really listened to radio.
I can't tell you the last time I listened to radio. I usually listen to podcasts or I'm listening to my iTunes.
The only time that I really listen to the radio is when the kids get in the car, because the podcast I listen to got a lot of cuss words. So
I understand.
So that's the only time that I really had the radio on, and then I'm not really paying attention to it because I'm trying to hurry up and get to where we going so I can stop listening to the shit that's on the radio.
I get it.
Yep. But now, I don't know. It's just weird. And I think podcasting is almost like what public access television was back in the day, to where if you had the time to do it or whatever, they'll put it out there. And then, it's cool because there's no restrictions on it or whatever. But, we talk about in 10 years, it being a thing. I kind of feel like it's going to find a way to get taxed, somebody trying to put a stranglehold on it or whatnot. And I'm not looking forward to that time.
I don't think it's going to be that bad.
I don't know. We've seen some shit.
I mean, that's true, Never know this day and age.
Exactly. I mean, nothing is ever truly for certain here and now.
That is 100% truth right there.
Yep. I mean, because as we speak, there are currently over 700 and something thousand podcasts out there. But what's sad about it is a lot of them don't get past 10 episodes. And I think there's out of that 700 and some odd thousand podcasts, I think the rate is 30% of them are active and thriving. So, I mean, it's weird. I mean, because you got the people that I want to try this. And they tried and they don't like it. So, I mean, and that's within your right to try something to see if you like it or if it's for you. And then there's people that, they jump into it headlong and think they're going to get famous in one episode. And then there's oh, this shit sucks. And then they just put it down. And, it's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work goes into a podcast. I mean, before you even start recording, you got to get all the equipment. You got to come up with a name. You got to, open a SoundCloud, account. You've got to, find banners. You got to find, all this stuff. So there's so much involved with it.
And the most important thing is the time to do it.
Yes.
And and coming with time is the consistency, just repeatedly putting it out, however often you're going to put it out, adhering to somewhat of a schedule and whatnot.
Exactly. Because, all it takes is a few missed weeks and your audience is just gone.
Yeah. And another thing that I'd like to bring up about you, you write as well. And I believe I've heard that you're writing a screenplay for a show or a series. And also, I think you brought up a point to where you said you write things for the podcast. I mean, how does that work?
I actually write the scripts for the Blood and Black Lace podcast. Well, I write an outline for the blood, because there's a lot of like research that goes into, telling the story of, these certain places. So I do write the outline. And then wherever it goes, it kind of goes. As far as like the screenplays go, I have written, I currently have 6 screenplays in the making.
Shit.
Yes. I stay busy. What can I say? I like staying busy.
Yeah. That should be your personal t-shirt or slogan. I stay busy.
Right? My personal tagline.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, some of the things that you say you got 6 projects, that you're working on, trying to get, funding and, somebody to pick them up. Out of the 6, which one do you believe has the greatest success of, going somewhere?
In fairness, one of them is that I'm writing is about a female serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has potential because, you don't see a lot of female serial killer movies out there.
Because they don't get caught.
Exactly. But this one is like kind of like a girl next door, cheerleader, serial killer. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I think, that could go far. But the one that I've got a lot of hopes for is, my screenplay about the Churchill Tunnel in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that, and that's kind of why I brought this question up. Go ahead, elaborate. I like people to hear about this. I find it interesting.
So back in October 3rd, 1925, they were widening one of the train tunnels in downtown Richmond when it collapsed, burying the locomotive, the engineer, and at least 2 other people. They believe that there's more people down there. They just don't know. The fireman was able to get out, but he died shortly after at a nearby hospital. But the train is still buried there. They were able to, after 8 days, they were able to get the engineer out, and he was dead, obviously. Mm-hmm. But there's still bodies buried down there, plus the locomotive itself. So my script is actually based on, my script starts at the end of the Civil War when, the Confederates pretty much burned Richmond to the ground so it wouldn't get into Union hands. And the Union troops are marching into Richmond.
Okay.
Because it kind of, that's where the whole story starts, because that shows why Richmond needed so many like different train tracks. I mean, if you've ever been, if you ever go to downtown Richmond, there's a shit ton of train tracks. Mm-hmm. And so they use those train tracks to bring in building supplies to rebuild Richmond. So, the story just starts there. And the story ended up creating an urban legend, a well-known urban legend here in Richmond called the Richmond Vampire. Legend has it that these people claim that they saw, after everything that happened after the tunnel collapsed, this creature emerged from the rubble with jagged teeth, covered in blood, and ran off. And they say they chased him down to Hollywood Cemetery, which is a very well-known cemetery here in Richmond. And they saw him disappear into an old mausoleum by the name of W.W. Poole. So anybody who grew up in Richmond or grew up on the suburbs of Richmond, they know this story. At least half of them have broken into Hollywood Cemetery, after hours, and sat in front of W.W. Poole's, mausoleum, waiting for, to catch a glimpse of this Richmond vampire. So it's a very well-known story here. So is Churchill Tunnel. They say in October, if you go down to where the tunnel is and you put your hand on the concrete plug that they use to kind of keep people out, mm-hmm. you can hear screams coming from the other side.
Now
I've done it.
Yeah, I was about to say, because you were one of the ones that broke in there to try it, huh?
Yeah. Statute of limitations is passed, so
okay.
I can say yes. Okay. I broke into Hollywood Cemetery.
Okay, I was about to say hypothetically yes, but actually
no. Statute of limitations is passed. They can't. They ain't gonna get me on nothing.
Exactly. All right. Cool. So I mean, to tell the story, but what ultimately you hope comes of this?
Well, a few years ago, the History Channel was here, and there was talks of, opening the tunnel back up, getting the dead bodies out. Of course, there were just bones now, and getting the locomotive out. Well, when they started to dig, they dug a little hole and they put a camera down there, and they saw that, it was pretty much filled with water and filled with sand. And they said that if we start to, try to dig this locomotive out, the tunnel's going to collapse. Well, there's actually houses built on top of Church Hill. So they said that, the whole hill could become unstable and fall. So my ultimate goal, and they said it would be $5 million to actually be able to stabilize the tunnel enough to get the train out. My goal with this script is really to earn that money to get the train out, and maybe not necessarily out, but cut away part of it so it could be a memorial. Because right now there's a playground on top of Church Hill, and there's apartment buildings right outside the entrance to it. So it's like, here's these people that died in this tunnel, and you guys walk around like, it's nothing. And I feel like there should be a memorial there. I feel like there should be something there that memorializes these people that died. So that's my goal. I've talked to a civil engineer who explained to me, what would need to be done to kind of stabilize the tunnel as they dug out the train. I've talked to a metals expert who told me that since there's no oxygen down there, the locomotive is probably in really good condition. I've talked to, the Virginia Historical Society. They're on board. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the funding at this point.
Man, wouldn't it be like some throwed ass shit? It'd be like, there's no oxygen down there, so it's kind of preserving it. But as soon as you bust a hole in that bitch and the air get in it, just rust and wither away. That'd be some crazy movie shit.
Well, yeah, it actually would. But he actually said that, there was probably a little bit of rust, but not as much as we would expect being down there for so long. So my ultimate goal is, and I've talked to the granddaughter of the engineer who died, and she's totally on board. She's given me some, mementos from him to use in the movie, his picture, stuff like that. My ultimate goal with this is to have it released on October 3rd of 2025.
Word.
The 100-year anniversary of this tragedy.
Man, so if it get greenlit before then, you'd be like, no. Exactly.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait. But it's kind of like Richmond's Titanic. Everybody knows about the Titanic. And the days after that this happened, Richmond was all over national newspapers. I found news articles all the way from Alaska talking about this tragedy. And if you go to people now who live here in Richmond, a lot of them don't know the story anymore because it's just kind of died.
And that's great.
And I think that that's really tragic because these people deserve to be remembered. They deserve to, be given a proper burial.
Yeah. And then you say people even there in the town don't know shit about it. I didn't even know about it until I heard it from your lips. So
yeah. So it's a really good story. I think, it would be filmed here in Richmond. It's a story that's near and dear to my heart because I grew up knowing this story and nobody's done anything about it. So yeah, it's a very new story to bring forward for people.
Word. Well, shit. I hope it works out.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. High fives all around. So, I think we've reached the end because I'm multitasking and I am listening to you, and so I don't want you to think that I'm not. But I've noticed.
Sure.
I've noticed on Twitter that your co-host is prepped and ready to go to record your first episode of your new podcast. So,
yep, she is.
Yeah, but I don't want to hold you any longer. I want you to get to that and make that change in the podcasting realm. So before you go, let everybody know what you got coming up and where they can find you on social media.
Oh, my Lord. I've got so much coming up. I have a couple different acting projects coming up that you guys will have to check out my Twitter or my Instagram to see when and where they're going to be. My movie Transit will be coming out here shortly, and I will put that up on my Twitter and be on YouTube as well. You could find me at Twitter and Instagram at Real Linzi Gray. That's RealLinzigray. And that's both Twitter and Instagram, so I make it easy for you. And obviously check me out on my podcast. The first one is Blood and Black Lace. And the second one is called The Rosenbaum and Gray Hour.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you ain't got a solo podcast called The Gray Area.
Don't tempt me.
There you go. 3%. Remember that.
I got you.
Yeah, but it's been a pleasure to have you on. You have given me some knowledge. You educated me. And we had a good time, I feel, anyway. I mean, what about you? You all right?
I had a blast.
Sweet. You should tell everybody that you invited to the show. So
I'm gonna tell everybody. I'm a big mouth when it comes to my interviews, and I'm like, hey, check me out. I'm on this podcast.
Yep. So that's it. You've been a guest of the show. Delvin Cox, and I'm rooting for the day that you get to punch him in the face. And,
woohoo!
And since you've been a guest, the door is always open for you to come back to, shoot the shit, promote your next big thing. Hopefully it's about the train and whatever else. Hopefully it's anything that you got going on that you put effort into and it succeeds. So there it is.
I will be back.
Oh, hold on. You got to do it Arnold style.
I'll be back. Yes, that's as good as you're going to get.
I'll take it. And that was our guest. And I say our because it's not just my guest, it's your guest too. You're getting to meet a brand new person that walks the face of this earth and everything. So, Linzi Gray, everybody, host of the soon to be named Gray Area podcast. But it was great to talk with her and hear her story and get some of her views and thoughts on things and whatnot. And cool beans. Happy birthday, Marines. I just have to throw that out there again. The 244th year of the Marine Corps, baby. And also big shout outs to our new sponsor. You heard it at the top of the show. You heard me awkwardly ramble through some stats and everything. I hope that doesn't deter them off in our partnership or whatever. And I hope it genuinely helps some people who could use the product or whatnot, or some people that are just looking to have a little bit of fun and everything on the weekend. Especially, I know a lot of devil dogs probably been using it this weekend, baby. Hoorah and all that stuff. But anyway, check out the sponsor for real, both of them. It's just a temporary deal or whatnot. So if, it does well, then, they might hang around. If not, whatever. And I'll get into how this even came to be or whatever. Is just that I watch Being the Elite, and it was a joke on there, but I didn't know it was a real product. So I come across it on Twitter, and they were, they tweeting about wrestling and everything. And, I love some wrestling and everything. And some good wrestling tweets were had by the Blue Chew account. So I just straight up asked. I was like, hey, man, want to sponsor the show? I like wrestling. I like what you're talking about over there. And here we are. So, yep, got me a couple packages of Blue Chew. I'll let you know how that work out. And then hopefully this will roll over into some currency possibly. I hope I'm not dispelling so much of the insides of the business or whatnot, but you know, I keep it real with y'all. I let y'all know what's going on. So check them out. Go to bluechew.com. Your first order is free. All you have to do is pay $5 for shipping. And don't forget the OG sponsors, baby. The actual family to the Random Rounds with Rob podcast. Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. Go to Etsy.com and look up Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, and you can get 10% off your order if you use the promo code 3R Show. Also, the promo code for Blue Chew is random. Random! So, Blue Chew is random, and Hooks, Rubs, and Spices is 3R Show. You're getting two wonderful products, and I was saying these two could mesh together because I mean you get the cooking for your significant other, you blaze it up with some Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, and then be like, baby, you cook me some good vittles and whatnot, and now you know I'm gonna repay you in kind with some happy time and whatnot, and that's where the Blue Chew comes into play. You can satisfy their palate, you know, sexually and culinary. I don't even know if I said that shit right, but anyway, big shout outs to Blue Chew, big shout outs to Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. So there it is out there in the open. Two sponsors to the show, and you know, I couldn't have done that without you all, the listeners. So as I depart, I'm gonna just hit you with the same thing that I do all episodes, is to let you know where you can find me if you're a new listener. So 3R Show on Twitter and hashtag 3R Show on Instagram and Facebook, Random Rounds with Rob. And you can go to randomrobcast.com to where you can find other ways to help support the podcast, whether it's a Patreon, which I have changed the Patreon. So if you want to support, there's only two tiers, $1 and $10. $10 is where you get some work out of me. You get extra episodes and all kinds of other manner of things. $1, you're just showing your support to the show. So, I mean, you got two ends of the spectrum. If you want extra content from me, if you want me to work overtime and, you know, on top of what I do from my 9 to 5 and what I put into this podcast or whatever, you can get that for $10. That's my fee for me to produce extra content for you. Or if you just want to support the show and help it grow in any other means and aspects, $1 is all I ask of you. $1. $1. $1. That's all I'm asking for. You know, and you don't have to give your money, whether it be being a Patreon or buying merchandise from my merch store at randomrobcast.com/merch, hats, t-shirts, and the like. You don't have to spend a dime of your money. The best way, the easiest way that you can help support this show is write those reviews. Once again, I'm trying to get 100 reviews before my birthday, which is March 29th. Here we are, November 10th. My military birthday is today. It would have been great if I can get 100 by today, but my actual birthday, March 29th, I'm trying to get 100 reviews. Right now, we're sitting at 72. So we are almost there, baby. You know, get a friend to get a friend to get a friend to get up in there, and let's get the rest of these reviews in there. Also, another free way, which is on randomrobcast.com, is those Amazon links. Just click on the link. It'll take you to Amazon. Save that as your favorites, because every time you use that link to buy something from Amazon, I get a little kickback. You don't pay extra. I just get a little, hey, Rob sent them here. Cool. Here you go, baby. So that's some free ways that you can help hook up the show. And I think that's it. Sponsors, people. I'm trying to do things. Hoping Schloskis can jump on the train as well, so you can get some Hooks, Rubs, and Spices on your Schloski sandwich before you give her the other meat or him or whatever, however you do it. But anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.